Aló, aló. Aló, aló.
No, it's okay.
The African Continental Free Trade Area is a flagship project of Agenda 2063 of the African Union, the Africa we want to boost intra-Africa trade. It is a comprehensive scope that includes critical areas of Africa's economy, trade in goods and services such as digital trade and investment protection, amongst other areas. What is the Guided Trade Initiative? Trading under the AfCFTA was officially launched on 1 January 2021, whereby state parties to the agreement could now trade amongst themselves. In order to kickstart commercially meaningful trade under the AfCFTA preferences, the AfCFTA Guided Trade Initiative, GTI, was launched on 7th of October 2022, where over 96 products were traded under AfCFTA tariff preferences. How does GTI work? GTI facilitates trade through direct engagement with key stakeholders both in the public and private sectors of the participating state parties. GTI today is set to cover 31 countries. More products coverage and addition of services in trading activities under the AfCFTA. As an African business owner, how can I take advantage of the GTI? Ensure your country is a state party to the AfCFTA, has opened its markets and has shown interest. Carry out product market profiling. Identify products to be traded and potential markets within the African markets. You are duly registered as a business and have been onboarded by your AfCFTA National Implementation Committee. Complete all necessary national import and/or export procedures. Use relevant AfCFTA required trading documents, which are Certificate of Origin or Producer or Supplier Declaration Form or Origin Declaration Form. Express matchmaking request of your business to the AfCFTA Secretariat through the designated focal point to target other African markets. Secure a trading partner in the target country. Verify if your product meets the national standards and regulations and AfCFTA tariff preferences. What are the benefits of participating in the GTI? Learn practical steps to start trading under the AfCFTA. Explore and identify opportunities, imports and exports. Foster increased value proposition of businesses by combining trade in goods and services. Take advantage of the AfCFTA operational instruments such as PAPS, the Pan-African Payment and Settlement System, AfCFTA e-Tariff Book, AfCFTA Rules of Origin Manual, Non-Tariff Barrier Online Reporting Mechanism, AfCFTA Adjustment Fund Facility. Start trading under the AfCFTA now. The AfCFTA is Africa's transformational instrument for economic development. The AfCFTA is promoting development of value chains, digital financial inclusion, women and youth in trade, harmonization of customs and trade regulations. We are accelerating the AfCFTA implementation. We are all AfCFTA.
The launch of the African Continental Free Trade Area, AfCFTA, marks an important milestone in Africa's regional integration. The AU theme for 2023, Acceleration of the AfCFTA Implementation, seeks to augment the efforts and activities of the AfCFTA, which is to create a single Pan-African market to ensure free movement of goods, services, business people and capital by eliminating trade barriers to support the private sector and boost intra-African trade. The AfCFTA is poised to accelerate trade between African countries on the continent and be the driving engine to transform the economy of Africa.
Where there is strong collaboration amongst all organs and specialized agencies of the African Union and regional economic communities, accelerating the implementation of the AfCFTA shall produce the results that we all desire. In accelerating the implementation of the AfCFTA, in accordance with the theme of this year, we must leverage on Africa's development finance institutions, such as our strategic partners, Afrexim Bank and the AFDB, to ensure that we build on the success recorded thus far.
The desire to establish a new era of trade in Africa was not only expressed by Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, but by all our Pan-African forefathers, and their vision is being realized today through the AfCFTA. A new era of trade in Africa means a new era of connectivity in Africa, a new era of infrastructure in Africa, a new era of creativity in Africa, a new era of opportunities, productivity and development in Africa. In this new era, you can produce in Accra and compete in Kigali, buy from Lagos and pay in Benin, or live in Tripoli and trade in Tunisia. In this new era, the AfCFTA will empower women and youth in trade to have access to endless opportunities in trading across African countries. The AfCFTA will also implement a cashless and simplified payment system through PAPS with reduced tariffs. By prioritizing and enhancing the operations of agro-processing, automotives, pharmaceuticals, transport and logistics, the AfCFTA will promote regional value chain development and enable the continent's private sector. With a common market of 1.4 billion people trading amongst each other, the AfCFTA has potential to lift 30 million Africans out of extreme poverty. The AfCFTA's new era of trade brings endless opportunities. We must all come together to create one African market and prosper the economy of Africa. Let's create one African market.
The Committee of Foreign Ministers, officials and experts should be empowered to establish 1. A commission to frame a constitution for the Union Government of African States. 2. A commission to work out a continent-wide plan for the united or common economic and industrial program for Africa. This plan should include for setting up a common market for Africa, an African currency, African monetary zone, an African central bank, a continental communication system.
It is important to acknowledge that the desire to establish a common market on the African continent in the goal to attain economic integration had been expressed by our forebears who laid the foundation for the face of trade today. The launch of the African Continental Free Trade Area, AfCFTA, marks an important milestone in Africa's long history of regional integration, as it is the largest free trade area since the formation of the World Trade Organization, WTO. A key objective of the AfCFTA is to create a single Pan-African market for goods and services by eliminating trade barriers and boost intra-Africa trade while ensuring free movement of business persons and of capital. The AfCFTA was created to transform the lives of Africans, where for the very first time since the end of colonialism, we have an instrument to regulate trade among African countries. Africa has been marginalized from global trade for many, many years, with a participation of less than 3%. Yet, we export over 80% outside of our continent. The time has come to own our narrative. This is the only opportunity we have to lift millions and millions of Africans out of poverty. With the AfCFTA, we have succeeded in sending products from East Africa, North Africa, and Central Africa to West Africa at reduced tariffs.
Faisons en sorte également que le marché africain soit le marché des Africains. Produire en Afrique, transformer en Afrique et consommer en Afrique. Produisons ce dont nous avons besoin et consommons.
Hello. Please take your seat. They are now coming. We are going to start our program. Please, let's welcome Hello. Kindly be seated. Your Excellency, Dr. William Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya. Your Excellency, Wamkele Mene, Secretary General of the African Continental Free Trade Area. Honorable Ministers from the Republic of Kenya and Ghana. And members of the diplomatic corps, members of the private sector, directors, colleagues, distinguished guests, all protocol advised. Good afternoon. I am highly honored to welcome you to the AfCFTA Secretariat and to disclose the program for the event as follows. First of all, we have the followed by the Kenya welcome address. After his address, the Prime Cabinet Secretary of the Republic of Kenya will invite to the podium, will be invited to the program to invite the President of Kenya. Lastly, a vote of thanks will be given by Her Excellency, High Commissioner of South Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, please let's stand for the two items. Be seated, please. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it's my privilege to now invite His Excellency Wamkele Mene for his welcome address.
Thank you very much, Program Director, Your Excellency, President Dr. William Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya, Prime Cabinet Secretary, Your Excellency Musalia Mudavadi, Cabinet Secretaries that are here as part of the delegation of the President, Your Excellency Balozi Barine, High Commissioner of Kenya to Ghana, honorable ministers from the government of Ghana, ambassadors and high commissioners, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to welcome His Excellency the President to the AfCFTA Secretariat. I'm very honored to extend a warm welcome to His Excellency and the delegation, and I hope that in the time you've been in Accra, you have had very, very fruitful discussions. Let me express my profound appreciation to the President and to the government of Kenya for supporting me in the second term in the position of Secretary General. President Ruto was one of the first heads of states to pledge support for my re-election, and I very much appreciate that. There is a debate that I will stay out of, and that is whether it was Kenya or Ghana that was the first country to deposit the instrument of ratification of the AfCFTA. I wisely stay out of this debate. What I would say, however, is that both countries were the first countries to deposit their instruments of ratification to the African Union, indicating and demonstrating not just political will, but also legal commitment to the founding objectives of the Organization of African Unity. And so it is a matter of, it is befitting that His Excellency and the government that he leads are here today to see and to witness the fruits of their labor. The Secretariat was established here in August 2020. The government of Ghana, under the leadership of His Excellency President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, provided us with all of the resources that we require to make sure that the AfCFTA succeeds. And 4 years down the line, the AfCFTA, as a result of that support, is one of the leading flagship projects of the African Union. And so in less than 4 years' time, in large part because of the support we received from the government of Ghana, we have been able to demonstrate that where, as Africans, we commit, we act, we do see the results that all of us want to see. I was invited last month by the Senate Majority Leader and the Speaker of the National Assembly of the Parliament of the Republic of Kenya to address a joint session of the Trade Parliamentary Committee. And in my remarks to the honorable members of Parliament, I noted that it is vital that Kenya continues to play a leading role under your leadership, Excellency, continues to play a leadership role in Africa. And since His Excellency President was elected, Kenya has increasingly become a leading voice for shaping sustainable solutions to challenges that confront our continent. Allow me to cite a few of these examples of Kenya's leadership on our continent. For the very first time, the African continent has a response to the climate change challenge. His Excellency President Ruto convened heads of states in Nairobi last year in September, and they developed what is now Africa's blueprint for confronting the climate change challenge, and that is the Nairobi Declaration. It enables us not only to speak with one voice, which is important, more importantly, the Nairobi Declaration puts forward solutions for adaptation and mitigation to enable Africa to overcome this challenge of our time. Second, under His Excellency's leadership, an outcome of COP28 that was convened, as we all know, in Dubai in December last year, was the adoption of the Africa Green Industrialization Initiative, which ensures that as we accelerate industrial development on the continent, we do so by investing in green technologies that will drive industrialization whilst mindful of the environmental imperatives that we have to be aware of. Third, in February 2024, the 37th Ordinary Session of the Assembly of Heads of States and Government, the Heads of States appointed His Excellency President Ruto to be champion on reforms, taking over from His Excellency President Kagame. And I believe all of us are eternally grateful to President Kagame for his work and all the efforts that he put into advancing reforms of the African Union. The baton for advancing reforms of the African Union has now been passed to His Excellency President Ruto for us to see through the objective of reforming our institution so that it is fit for purpose and is able to respond to the challenges of our time. Fourth, in the area of reforms of the multilateral financial architecture, in a short pace of time, Your Excellency, President Ruto, you have been working with President Akufo-Addo in his capacity as a champion of financial institutions of the African Union to ensure that Africa is a leading voice in the global debate to make the international financial architecture more fair, more representative, and more responsive to the needs of the African continent. And so the fact that our heads of states have appointed you to lead the continent in these very challenging crises, climate change, reform of the African Union, reform of the global architecture, in my view, it is a testament to the confidence that the Assembly has in you and in Kenya to help the continent to navigate these challenges. And so in my address to the joint session of the Senate and the Assembly, I said that Kenyans must be prepared to share their president with the rest of the continent. I am very happy that they were willing to share their president with the rest of us as we navigate, as a continent, these challenges. Your Excellency, under your leadership, Kenya continues to be a model of innovation, entrepreneurship, and steadfast dedication to an inclusive economy. In the area of the digital economy, Kenya continues to lead, boasting the largest green data processing and management center in Africa. With the reforms that have been undertaken in Kenya to ensure benefits of digitization of the economy and digital trade in particular, Kenya is well poised to be an immediate beneficiary of the Protocol on Digital Trade of the AfCFTA. In addition, Kenya's active participation as one of the countries that traded, well, the first country to trade under the AfCFTA's Guided Trade Initiative, exporting goods, value-added production to Ghana, to Nigeria, and other parts of the African continent. And here I must make special mention, Your Excellency, of Balozi High Commissioner Marine, who ensured that Kenya was one of the first countries to trade under the AfCFTA. As a result of all of these efforts, you will recall that in October 2022, yourself and I saw off a shipment, the very first shipment to be exported from Kenya to Ghana, which was value-added production, tea that was received in Ghana under the preferences of the AfCFTA. I always tell this as an example I always mention this as an example of the kind of trade that we want to create under the AfCFTA, inclusive benefits, creating opportunities for smallholder farmers, and in this case, the farmers that exported the tea were farmers, smallholder farmers that the government of Kenya organized into cooperatives who now can credibly say that they are contributing to Africa's trade. I congratulate Kenya for the development of the National AfCFTA Implementation Strategy for the period 2022 to 2027, which marks a significant milestone on the journey to achieve our objectives. This strategy provides a comprehensive framework for harnessing trade and investment opportunities for Kenya across Africa, which remains a very important export and import destination. We're inspired, Your Excellency, by your commitment to creating inclusive benefits of a national economy and to create opportunities for small, medium enterprises, for the youth, the hustlers. We share this commitment. That is why we're taking concrete steps to make sure that the protocols on digital trade and the protocol on women and youth in trade, that they actually are fully implemented, and we see the results. We see the results of an inclusive economy, inclusive trade, eliminating barriers for trade for young people in Africa, as well as small, medium enterprises. Some of the concrete steps we have taken include signing an MOU, $6 billion with Equity Bank, and here I am grateful to Dr. Mwangi for having stepped up to provide the support that is needed in the implementation of the AfCFTA. We have also signed an MOU with United Bank of Africa, where they committed to disburse $7 billion to small, medium enterprises, particularly small, medium enterprises that are led by young people. It has been reported to us that already $150 million under this fund has been disbursed. We have mobilized an AfCFTA adjustment fund, over $1 billion that has been made available by AfrEximBank. We will mobilize up to $10 billion to ensure that in the implementation of the AfCFTA, small, medium enterprises, young people are at the center of benefits. Of course, much remains to be done to make sure that we all realize the ambitions and the goals of the AfCFTA. It presents an unprecedented opportunity for our continent to continue to break the legacy of colonialism. That effort to break the legacy of colonialism, as we all know, started in May 1963 in Addis Ababa at the formation of the Organization of African Unity. We are therefore well poised, a continent of 1.4 billion people, with a combined GDP that is projected by the year 2050 to be close to 16.2 trillion United States dollars. We're well poised to be a single market that is globally competitive, that has advanced industrial development capabilities, that has food security to feed herself by eliminating barriers to trade in intra-Africa basic agricultural products, well poised to achieve all of these objectives in time, where, of course, we implement the rules of the AfCFTA. And so, Your Excellency, as I draw to a close in my welcome remarks, I emphasize that the AfCFTA is probably Africa's last opportunity. Probably Africa's last opportunity to break down this colonial economic model, to ensure that we have a movement of persons across the continent, to create jobs for millions and millions of young Africans, to bring smallholder farmers into the formal trade of the African economy, as we have seen in the example that I cited of smallholder farmers in Kenya who produce value-added tea. I believe all of these very, very high ambitions are achievable. They are achievable under the leadership of the Assembly of Heads of States and Government and under your leadership, Your Excellency. I believe where we fail to take advantage of the AfCFTA, that our continent will forever be at the periphery of the global economy. We therefore must accelerate our efforts to implement this agreement. There will be challenges, there will be difficulties, but of course we know from the history of the European Union, we have observed the lessons of market integration in Europe. We have taken heed and advice where mistakes were made in market integration and in creation of a single market. And as a result, our heads of states have adopted an agreement that I believe sets Africa apart in a number of ways. The AfCFTA is the only trade agreement that I am aware of that has legally binding obligations to create opportunities for young people and small medium enterprises that are led by women. The Protocol on Women and Youth in Trade transcends all of the aspirations that we have had, correctly so, and codifies these aspirations of creating equality for women and men in the economy, for eliminating barriers to trade, and codifies them into legally binding obligations. As Africans, we must be proud that we are a trailblazer in this sense, the very first of its kind, a protocol that eliminates barriers to intra-Africa trade for women and youth has happened here in Africa. And so Your Excellency, I welcome you and the Cabinet Secretaries and your delegation very warmly to the AfCFTA Secretariat, and we look forward to your visit for the next day and a half. Thank you very much.
We thank you, Your Excellency, for your welcome address. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I would like now to invite the Prime Cabinet Secretary of the Republic of Kenya to introduce the President.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, Your Excellency, the Secretary General, Wamkele Mene, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we cannot talk about Africa Continental Free Trade Area unless the people driving this agenda have had a minute or two to say something. So, Your Excellency, with your permission, I would like to request the Minister for Ghana, I think she was here. Okay. Other than that, let me also request the Minister responsible for matters of African Continental Free Trade Area in Kenya to step forward for a minute or two, just to highlight one or two things. And then thereafter, we can get His Excellency the President to speak. But in the meantime, may I acknowledge that there's a Minister for Defense from Kenya, and Honorable Duale, and the Minister for Lands in Ghana. We are looking for titles. Thank you.
Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to join His Excellency on this visit to the Africa Trade House, the kitchen that will cook the trade in Africa. This is the place where the African dream of boosting intra-Africa trade is being developed to achieve the aspirations of the agenda in relation to the African Continental Free Trade Area. Kenya is a pioneer and champion of the AfCFTA in many ways, but mostly I want to highlight two. Kenya was among the first African countries to not only sign the AfCFTA agreement, but also to ratify it. We are glad that in the debate, the name of Kenya is mentioned. Secondly, we take pride as one of the first countries to successfully export to Ghana under the Guided Trade Initiative. Kenya, as a champion of African integration, will continue to support the initiatives that enhance the continental framework and continue to provide thought leadership to ensure that the AfCFTA delivers its promise to the over 1.2 billion people of Africa. And we believe that this will make Africa great. The 37th Assembly also adopted the AfCFTA Protocol on Digital Trade and endorsed the recommendation of Kenya to be the champion of digital trade under the AfCFTA. I wish to express gratitude most sincerely as the champion of digital trade. I am looking forward to working with the Secretariat to ensure inclusivity of women and youth, to take advantage of the digital space for economic development within the framework of the AfCFTA. This work is of utmost importance to us and the continent, recognizing not only Kenya's significant strides in digital transformation and digital financial inclusion demonstrated by the success of M-Pesa and the potential hosting of the Pan-African payment and settlement system, but specifically what the AfCFTA Protocol on Digital Trade promises for Africa. And we have many gains that will come with the digital trade. Your Excellency, Kenya recently was rated as the leading destination of choice for investments and investment momentum in Africa. In the recent past, we have expressed our desire to host two agencies of the AfCFTA, that is the Pan-Africa Trade and Investment Agency and the Pan-Africa Payments and Settlement System, and believe the Secretariat is giving it due consideration. Thank you very much. Asanteni sana.
Thank you, Madam Minister. I think I was justified in getting here to this podium. Your Excellency, I'll be very brief because time is of essence, and we would like you to have ample opportunity to have a conversation with these very, very important people in this hall. But Mr. Secretary General, you remember when you were in Kakamega, I did talk about a crying stone, basically pointing out the fact that as Africa, we cannot cry ourselves out of poverty and out of challenges. We have to work ourselves out of poverty and out of those challenges. And that is why we are here. And one person, ladies and gentlemen, who has been at the forefront, being very passionate as a Pan-Africanist, and also being very passionate in saying that we cannot continue crying, we must find solutions, is none other than President William Samoei Ruto. And I would like to request that you be upstanding so that you can welcome him to the podium to make his remarks. Thank you, President Ruto.
Thank you very much, Prime Cabinet Secretary. Please let's take our seats. Thank you. Thank you very much for the invitation by the President of Ghana whom I have had occasion to meet in very extensive conversation with him earlier today. And it gives me great pleasure that I have found my way to this great organization that I am very passionate about. The Africa Continental Free Trade Area is the single most important instrument, the most potent instrument for the transformation of our continent. And I am very proud of the work being done by Wamkele and his team. And I want to thank you for the warm welcome to the Secretariat of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. At the onset, I would like to congratulate you on your re-election as Secretary General of one of Africa's flagship projects, the AfCFTA. I know you have mentioned that Kenya was among the countries that supported your re-election. I don't know whether it was Kenya, it was the exemplary work that you have done that earned you a second term. I recall the fruitful discussion that we had during your official visit to Kenya in March 2024, where I reaffirmed our full support in your stewardship of this organization and in the future that we all see in what this organization can achieve for us. The signing of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area in March of 2018, extraordinary session of the Assembly of Africa Union, was a milestone in pursuing more integrated and inclusive economic growth, anchored on development of skills, market integration, market diversification, and of course underpinned by technology transfer within our economies and from outside. You have said there is a contest between who deposited first the instruments of AfCFTA at the headquarters in Addis. I thought it was settled. And it was settled in an amicable win-win fashion. That, let me put it in context. This weekend, over Easter, I went to a restaurant. And there was this gentleman who said that the philosophy around there was that ladies first, men in front. So I don't know whether who was first finally. So maybe, I don't know, Kenya was first to deposit, but somehow Ghana was in front. And I think it was settled that that's why Ghana eventually hosted the Secretariat. And we are very proud of what the government of Ghana has done in making sure that the Secretariat is appropriately facilitated to take up its central role in the integration of the African market. I am pleased with the progress that has been made in laying the foundation and operationalizing the AfCFTA Secretariat under very difficult circumstances. Wamkele just informed me that he came here with his family in the middle of COVID. That demonstrates commitment and determination to do a job. The AfCFTA is a promise to the people of Africa to significantly contribute to the attainment of the Agenda 2063 and to ensure that no one is left behind. It drives the continent towards integration, political stability, and unity based on the ideals of our founding fathers and the vision of Africa's renaissance. Your Excellencies, the AfCFTA agreement is expected to foster industrialization and regional competitiveness through the creation of regional value chains and improved agro-processing and expanded markets for meaningful intra-Africa trade and jobs for the young people, especially of our continent. President Nana Akufo-Addo told us this morning some significant statistics that intra-European trade is all the way to 73, 75%. Intra-African trade is down at 12, maybe 14, maybe 15%. And it speaks volumes of not where we are, but the potential that exists for us to grow our trade. I commend your relentless efforts in successfully steering the conclusion of Phase 1 and Phase 2 negotiations in trade in goods and services, and I urge you to stay the course and conclude the remaining ones and also oversee their implementation. To ensure effective implementation, Kenya strongly supports the establishment of regional offices and is keen to host the East African Regional Office in Nairobi. Kenya looks forward to integrating Africa's financial sector in ways that promote intra-African trade, as well as speedy operationalizations of the policy and research development initiatives that you and me discussed when you came to Kenya, and we were both at one of our universities trying to consolidate this position. I'm very happy to be at the AfCFTA Secretariat. I was with Wamkele when we launched the first trade facilitation under AfCFTA, under the Guided Trade Initiative, where we flagged off the first Kenyan tea and other products that came to Ghana and to the West Coast. While we were walking around the exhibition hall, business people told us that after that first initial flag off, there's been many more, and the frequency is increasing, meaning that we are in the right trajectory. Let me confirm that it was a very proud moment in February this year when we saw the instruments that consolidate the place of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement by the AU heads of state. And I want to confirm that as part of the reform of our organization to make the Africa Union a fit-for-purpose organization, we're going to consolidate our place in making sure that the 1.4 billion people market in Africa becomes a viable entity that will provide opportunity for trade, for investment, for business, for commerce, so that we can create prosperity that leaves nobody behind and shared prosperity that brings on board the majority of the people in our continent. Talking about digitization and technology, we are great believers that technology democratizes opportunity. Technology improves efficiency. Technology improves accountability. And therefore, front and center, technology is going to dictate the pace at which we move our goods, our services, our products, and our progress. And I want to encourage AfCFTA to work with the other agencies of the Africa Union in making sure that we leverage on technology to accelerate the movement of goods, of services across our country, and also to accelerate progress in all other fields. I had a conversation with President Nana Akufo-Addo on the other instruments that will facilitate trade in our continent. And instruments, financial instruments, and I was very happy on the agreements we have reached between Kenya and Ghana on how to move this into the future. You're all aware that we spend about $5 billion every year just dealing with exchange rate issues between our trading business people. $5 billion is big money in any currency. And therefore, the setup by the Afrexim Bank to provide a payment settlement system for all our traders so that trade in Africa can be carried out in any currency, and there will be a mechanism to make sure that once that trade is over, there will be somebody to provide settlement facility and to ensure that we do not lose because of currency differentials between one currency and another. And when we say this, we are not saying we are against any currency. No, we just want to fend for ourselves. We just want to make sure that in trading, we don't lose because of different exchange rates and different currencies. And I want to specifically underscore the importance of us working together and building synergy and creating institutions. And I will be working with President Nana Akufo-Addo to make sure that all financial institutions under the AU, from the fund to the bank to the insurance, are all ratified so that we can build the necessary financial ecosystem to support trade, investment, and business in our continent. This is what all other regions are doing, and we must step up and do it for our continent. I also want to confirm, because I know we have leaders here, that it is our intention as heads of state to make sure that we reform the Africa Union to make it fit for purpose. As we talk today, we have a fairly dysfunctional setup. We have an executive that has no accountability mechanism. We have a parliament that has been made impotent. When I went to address the Pan-African Parliament in South Africa, they were not sure whether they were part of the Africa Union because nobody asked them nothing. And so it is necessary for us, there is no bureaucracy that works unless you have serious accountability. So it is necessary for us to reinforce the place of the Pan-African Parliament. It is important for us, if we have to have an African Union that works for the people of our continent, it must be accountable, and there must be a mechanism to adjudicate, a court to adjudicate on matters that affect our organization. Without a court to adjudicate, without a parliament for accountability, it is not possible for us to have an optimal organization that works for us. And therefore, it is necessary for us to move in that direction. And let me tell you, good people, that while our continent has been profiled before negatively with being a continent allegedly of disease, poverty, conflict, war, and the rest of the negative things, we have taken it upon ourselves that we have to create a new narrative for our continent. Because indeed, this is a different continent from the one that we have been profiled about. We are a continent of great opportunity. We are a continent that has 65% of the world's arable, uncultivated land. We are a continent with 60% of the world's renewable energy resources. We are a continent with between 30 and 40% of the world's mineral resources. We are shortly going to be the single largest market in the world. That's our continent. And therefore, it is our responsibility, because it is said by one great leader from Nigeria that until the lion learned to write its story, all stories glorified the hunter. So we have to learn to write our own story. And I promise you, we are going to write our own story. And it's going to be a great story. Apart from setting up financial institutions that will underwrite and support our trade, investment, business, and commerce, we also want, because we have tremendous possibilities, great potential, huge opportunities, investment potential. We've also agreed that we've been to many capitals in Europe, in America, in Asia. I think it is time that we also invite them to come to our continent. So we are slowly working on a mechanism where we will have the Africa Economic and Investment Summit every year. We will have it for about 3 or 4 days. On day 1, we will invite China. On day 2, we'll invite the US. On day 3, we will invite Europe. On day 4, we'll invite the next guy. And so we will make better use of our time. And we will make it easier for everybody to engage with us. Because in any case, any serious business people who are not thinking about Africa will shortly be on the losing end. So we must position ourselves appropriately. And AfCFTA is going to be our vehicle. Mr. Wamkele Mene is going to be our vehicle for positioning Africa appropriately to be the epicenter of trade, of investment, of commerce. And I am very confident that that will give us the opportunity to be the continent that we should be. So thank you very much for listening to me. I wish you well. And asanteni sana. Thank you very much.
Asante sana, Your Excellency. We thank you for your speech. Okay, have a seat, please. Yeah.
My elders, my clansmen and my kinsmen, I have a burden. I have a burden to talk to the king, to tell him heavy things. The pleasure is they are heavy things he would like to hear, but the burden is that it's in a manner he's not used to. And so, I have a burden to talk to the king about heavy things he would like to hear in a manner he's not used to. And I need to make sure by the time I am done, my neck is not a matter for discussion. And so, my elders, how do we unknot this one? If this is good, I take the credit. If it is not, we take the blame. And then all of our seats will be matters that are up for discussion. May I proceed? May I proceed? May I proceed? A man can only be as true as his mother tongue. And I add that when you speak to a man in his language, then you speak to his soul. Your Excellency, tunakukaribisha Ghana. I wish I could continue our conversation in Swahili and so many things over there. But you realize that it's only an urgent matter that calls the entire clan to sit, and so I must use a tongue for the benefit of everybody. But when this is done, I am the writer king who sips communion wine from the calabash. I did not come to pour libation, my people. We as a people have learned to tell our stories and to celebrate our heroes while they yet live. So welcome to this place, this crossroads of dreams, this market of 9 moons where it all began. Where in the beginning the Creator said, let there be light, and there was water. So when we have received a visitor, we offer you water for 3 reasons, maybe 4. We offer you water to wash your feet of all the traveler's dust. Then we offer you water to wash your hands of all the sins you might have committed. We offer you water to wash the heat of your brow. And then we offer you water to quench your thirst. Not your thirst of water, but your thirst of knowledge, for every traveler indeed is in search of knowledge. And so, he who comes in search of knowledge, we open our abundance to. But you see, it is not an easy task to find the golden mat that the Creator laid at the center of the earth. And so, sir, pardon me. When I speak to you as a traveler, I do not speak to you as one who has been demoted, but I speak to you as one who has gathered the dust of a traveler, the dust of knowledge on his hands. For the burdens of a great vision weigh the shoulders of the mind. And so they say, uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. What happens when the crown is too heavy and the king sits? Uneasy lies the behind that sits on the throne. Uneasy lies the man whose head finds the heaviest pillow, for they say thoughts are in the pillow. My people, it is not so. Thoughts are in the head. When you have found a good pillow to lay your head on, then you have beautiful thoughts. And when you wake up as king and your word is law, what happens? It news to the benefit of everybody who chooses to follow you. And so, Your Excellency, I dare say that sleep is not only for the weak. All men sleep, but dreams are the preserve of the chosen. So while all men sleep and the chosen dare to dream, yet some choose to wake up and lend feet to their dreams. And so, Africa is in this wave where all men sleep. So many great dreams that we have. Good intentions alone are not enough. Good dreams are not enough. But our leaders are beginning to wake up and lend feet to their dreams and calling us, handing batons to younger ones like us who will present to the future. So we are the storytellers. I came to beat my chest, not a drum. I beat my chest because it's as good as any animal skin could ever be. I beat my chest because I am proud to be a citizen of the land. I beat my chest because this is a Dinkrahine, the king of all symbols. When we told the Creator that we were coming to live at the center of the earth, it speaks of greatness. And so we greet you with greatness by beating our chests. Your Excellency, you realize that when a man is handed the corridors of power, the corridors of power do not have an end, yet it has so many exits. And so we place in your hand all the things you need to fight, not necessarily only weapons, but we equip the mind. And so these are the symbols of state. Your Excellency, we welcome you with the symbols of power. And then we realize that every man is great, Yet even among the kings there is an elder, and then above all the elders there is he who sneezes in the heavens, and it is counted as thunder. And so, if anything we choose to do will succeed, Africans know how to call on the divine. And so, Your Excellency, if all our dreams will take shape, it will not work unless we have the place of the divine. Edinkrahene, Akufina, Eni Jinyame, Kabumwa. Then we have the threefold cords of life. And then the burdens on the shoulders would have been told to those who follow, but more importantly, held on for those who are yet to enter the thoughts of time. Ago. They say my words are heavy. My words are heavy, Your Excellency, because Tuna and Doto. Your Excellency, we have dreams. I almost forgot. I'm supposed not to have my conversation in Swahili, but we have dreams. Your Excellency, your people say, my elders say that a man who is awake cannot have dreams. But you see, this life is simply the dream we woke up from nothingness in eternity to sleep into reality. I take that again. Your Excellency, your people say, my elders say a man who is awake cannot dream. But you see, this life is simply that dream we woke up from nothingness in eternity to sleep into reality. And so, take it easy. When everything threatens to swallow you up, for indeed it is simply the waves that cannot hide the excitement at seeing you. And so when trouble chooses to rise, keep calm. It is only a matter of time. All the waves will come crashing, and they will come to wash your feet of all the traveler's trouble you might have gathered. A good matter is short, my people. A good matter is short. A good matter is short. And so after we have cleansed the traveler and listened to his dreams and have been inspired by it, we learn to show gratitude. Gratitude not only in music. Music is the only thing they said scientifically gets to your subconscious without your permission. This is the xylophone. This is the jile. It belongs to the people of the north. It is only an urgent matter that will make a man go through earth, sea, sky, go to the north, carry a jile, cross that same path and bring it down to the shores of the sea. We simply came to celebrate one of our heroes who is yet here. He's still on his journey through the corridors of power. By the time he exits, the road would be clear, and we will know that indeed we have had one of the finest brains of our time. And so we come bearing gifts from the center of the world. God is a weaver. God makes cloth with gold. We call it kente. But we choose to mix kente with abrempong tuma, cloth for the great. This was made when President Obama first came to Ghana. And so we called it Obama Abrempontuma. But today, we give it to His Excellency, Dr. William. Will you help me with his name? Pardon? Clansmen, be very careful how you pronounce it. And so, Your Excellency, we place all your names on it and we call it Wabrempontuma. Please, do I have your permission to put it on you? Thank you. Africa, my clansmen and my kinsmen, maybe this was not good. We take the blame. If this was good, then I take the credit. Your Excellency, welcome to Ghana. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Is it comfortable? Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I would like now to invite the High Commissioner of South Africa for the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Chief of Protocol. On behalf of my brothers and sisters, our Dean of our AU group is not available this afternoon. I'm the Deputy Dean of the SADC region. Your Excellency, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, my duty and responsibility this afternoon is just to say thank you. And as Nana has says, and as Mandela has says, you speak to a man in his soul. I would like to commence by saying, Asante Mungu. My brother, His Excellency Wamkele Mene, Secretary General of the African Continental Free Trade Area, Mrs. Mene, my brothers and sisters, members of the diplomatic corps, ambassadors and high commissioners present today, members of international organizations, heads of international organizations present here this afternoon, to the cabinet secretaries from the Republic of Kenya, cabinet ministers from the Republic of Ghana, the CEO of GIPC, captains of industry present here today. Your Excellency, thank you for also amicably clarifying the debate, which is also above my pay grade, that we know that ladies first, and there were men in front. We thank you for that. Nana Sase, thank you for the poem. Thank you for the gifts. Your Excellency, Mr. President, we have witnessed in October 2022 the arrival of goods on the Guided Trade Initiative right here in Ghana. Thank you for your commitment as well to Kenya's 2022-2027 National AfCFTA Implementation Strategy. Without reiterating your impeccable address, but to say that the trajectory of the African Continental Free Trade Area, creating the opportunities, especially for young people and women, is reiterated by Secretary General Wamkele Mene, whom I also like to take the opportunity to congratulate you on your re-election, Mr. Mene. But Your Excellency, creating prosperity, as you've alluded to, and leaving no one behind, creating the Africa that we want, I'd like to say thank you to you. Mungu bariki Africa. In my region, we say, in my native language, Nkosi sikelele I Africa. God bless Africa, and God bless you all. I thank you.
Thank you, High Commissioner, for the vote of thanks. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of our program. Shall you please stand to allow the President to take his leave, please? This way.